Hello and welcome to our expert interview series on blockchain careers. Today I'm thrilled to have with us Koen, who's a Belgian blockchain expert. He currently serves as a blockchain evangelist and business architect at the Fujitsu Blockchain Lab. And his expertise spans various sectors, including blockchain for business, enterprise architecture, cryptocurrencies, token economics, NFTs, decentralized finance, and many more. So thank you for joining us, Koen.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invitation.
Okay, and we can maybe start with you telling us what inspired you to pursue a career in blockchain technology and business architecture. Maybe you can share a brief overview of your career path and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, what inspired me to jump in blockchain was, an early interest in new technologies. I was working in the financial sector already for some time and looking into just new technologies, always involved in the web development space back then. I'm talking about 2010 and a little bit later now. I was happy enough to combine a master degree in law with actual practical knowledge of development, because after my degree, I actually spent 6 years in smaller companies developing solutions. Just developer, architect, database design, everything. So it always kept me a bit busy and interesting to follow the best and the latest and the greatest. And around 2013, I ran again into Bitcoin. I saw the white paper, I think 1 or 2 years before, but put it on the side. Like, I don't understand this. This is going nowhere. But then around that time, I was in close contact with a few people at KBC who were very interested in Bitcoin. And I thought, well, let's take a look again. And after reading it, I thought, well, this could be challenging. Um, the whole idea back then in the days was that Bitcoin would disrupt the existing financial system and build something completely new. But well, I was working in this financial industry that was all of a sudden the target of this new technology. And I thought, well, I have to pay a mortgage. And it's the bank that provides me the money to pay this mortgage. So if the bank is gone, how will I then pay my mortgage? So I started to dig a bit deeper. And my goal was actually to see if, based on this white paper and the few things that existed back then, we had more privacy sensitive coins like Darkcoin and stuff like that, whether it could replace the financial system as I knew it. So I explored a lot of things, mined the Bitcoin, but also spent a lot of Bitcoin on everything Bitcoin related, on cloud mining before it was a thing, on investing on exchanges that were dealing in, well, shares valued in Bitcoin in companies that only did Bitcoin related work. So it was very volatile and everything jumped up and down. And I was just exploring and seeing if it would replace the financial system. And well, with that exploration, I gathered some knowledge. And as soon as in the financial sector, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and well, basically blockchain technologies became a thing, people started asking me questions, and well, I provided answers, and that went quite ballistic. Um, so my career is in the end quite a roller coaster, depending how you look at it. I studied law, went into development for 6 years, a Microsoft environment, an IBM environment. I launched my own game online. Then I became a lawyer for a very short while, with a deep specialization in occupational pension schemes. I ventured into the financial sector to one of my clients when I was a lawyer, actually. Worked at Delta Lloyd Life, KBC, Belfius, and then in 2020, I started at Deloitte in a tax and legal department. And then 2.5 years later, I moved to Fujitsu to work in the Enterprise Blockchain Center, as they were running, or we are running live applications, and that it's just easier to use as an example and more interesting to work on rather than on theoretical things.
All right. Well, that's indeed a very interesting career with a very broad spectrum of industries as well. So let's move on to the next question. What advice would you give to someone who is at the beginning of their career and they want to go to the blockchain field? In which field should they specialize, or maybe they shouldn't? Maybe they should do it sort of like you did. So go very broad. What's your advice?
The advice I would give to people who start their career is to specialize, to be honest, to specialize in something that is in line with their studies. I think at the moment, the crypto or the blockchain market or blockchain related solutions, technologies, however you want to call it, it is so vast that it becomes really very difficult to develop a comprehensive understanding of everything starting today. I'm lucky enough to be there in the beginning, but I do have challenges today to keep grasp of everything that is moving. So I didn't really specialize in anything, but if I would have the choice today, I would specialize for sure. I think that there is more and more need to have an in-depth conversation on one topic rather than let's do something with blockchain as a whole. Take, for example, regulation. There are new regulations. It's better to have a deep understanding than to have a general overview. But if you want to talk about architecture, there are so many options and choices today that you need to talk to somebody with a deep understanding of architecture, not somebody who knows that, well, you can make an enterprise architecture. So it's shifting quite fast, I think, to really concise, in-depth, specialized advice on well-aligned topics. What the future then should bring, or in which they should specialize today going forward, that is hard to predict. What will happen in the future will be something of the future. I think we're going on two speeds there. We have a grassroots movement related to DeFi or open finance, if you want to call it, where the next best thing can already be built today, and we'll see whatever is supported by the community and will grow, will get enough attention to be the next thing to learn about. Before 2017, ICOs were a thing. Before 2019, NFTs weren't a thing. Yeah, we had CryptoKitties, but it was just something crazy on the edge. So it just goes up and down and up and down, and the next best thing might already be there. In the enterprise sector, I think it's a bit different. There is a keen focus now on process efficiency. A lot of work is done in the financial sector. So it's moving fast, but in a certain direction. Also in supply chain, pharma sector. I mean, it's more sector related, I think, and it's good to have expertise in this sector before going into blockchain, rather than just look where can blockchain be applied. Well, everywhere, but you have to make sure you can explain it. That's an in-depth conversation on how it actually adds value. So as a conclusion, my advice would be to specialize in something where you combine all the T profiles, as they call it, and you have a broad knowledge of what blockchain does. You don't have to understand cryptography in every detail, but it's good to know that it at least exists. And then you have a deep expertise in one little thing where you add exponential value for the ecosystem.
All right, so maybe to build up a bit on what you just said. As you said, you come from a non-technical background as you studied law. So how would you say that professionals coming from non-technical backgrounds like yours, or maybe more policy related, or like something completely different, what should they do to transition into blockchain related roles? Do you think they should do some specific courses, maybe finish some studies? How do you see this?
Well, to shift from a non-technical,
exactly,
or from a non-technical to a blockchain related role, I think it's useful to have at least an interest and grasp the basic technical elements of blockchain. It's a bit weird. I mean, you have to understand this database, if I can call it a bit too summarizing. You have to understand how it works, a little bit of the special characteristics, but you don't have to know everything about it, because next to development, there is a whole slew of things to be done too. There are regulations. You also need things like marketing. Often a consortium has to be aligned, which means you have to define a shared strategy. You can do consulting on which solutions do exist or what shouldn't be done. There are audit needs, there are needs all over the place. So it's not just a technical game. If you look at NFTs, for example, the question that most people I met in the past have is not how do I make an NFT, because that they knew. It's I'm earning money with this. How should this be taxed? How can I make this legal instead of just virtual coins somewhere in a wallet and I'm afraid to use it. So I think it's way more than just the tech side. And if you look at it from a well, again, database perspective, it's not the right word to use, but let's go with it right now. It's the only data structure I would know that has a strategic impact. If you use today's SQL Server, you can use Oracle DB tomorrow. Okay, you have to shift and convert some data, all fine. But if you're on a blockchain-based solution today and you want to shift to something else tomorrow, well, your data will still be there. You can't just delete it. You might have to change more than just the data or the way you work or your processes, because you might end up with other companies, with other entities, with other stakeholders in this new collaboration, in this new closed loop ecosystem. So it has a really strong strategic impact, and that makes it valuable to have more knowledge than just the technical people. It's good that people can explain the difference between that they can explain that the Boolean is yes no, but in business there is quite often more than yes and no to explain.
All right. Thank you for this. I think it's a very valuable advice. And indeed, as you said, industry knowledge should come together with at least some ICT background. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Okay. So maybe if you could talk about effective ways to build your network and stay updated with the latest developments, as blockchain is a type of field which is very dynamic and is constantly changing. What would you say? What are the best ways to stay updated?
The best ways to stay updated are, in my opinion, summarized as do your own research. I know it's quite often used in crypto, but it's also valuable if you just want to learn what's happening. There are newsletters, there are events. There is an endless amount of information today. Back when we started 2013, we were happy to send a newsletter or an article every week to like 10 people in the bank. Like, look, I found something on Bitcoin this week. Amazing. I was the first. But today it's more like sifting through and seeing what is actually valuable. So connect with people that have a great outreach on LinkedIn, like Anthony Day or Kier Finlow Bates, Blockchain Gandalf is also called. They combine tech, business insights. They collide information from other parties too. So it's just jump into it, read as much as possible, and try to understand what it's all about. I'm also following newsletters on the latest hacks and everything, just trying to understand how people actually approach it, where these loopholes are. I'm fairly new to the topic, but well, I'm eager to learn more and understand. But it's there is a lot to find on the internet, a lot of information, and more and more information also now comes from academic parties. I think that's a really interesting evolution. Uh, Today, everybody can write anything, but peer-reviewed articles, books, of course, they don't age very well. Things written 5 years ago are probably prehistorical today, but it still provides a base knowledge that you can only expand upon, and which allows to evaluate what is nonsense and what is really valuable knowledge. So, just walk around, talk with people. It's still a very grassroots-driven community, I would say. People eager to help each other, to explain, to learn. But you have to do the effort yourself. It's not going to come and fly on your plate or laptop or mailbox. So go outside, go to events, talk with people. You will meet a few oddballs, but most are really kind.
Okay. Any specific conferences or events that you would recommend?
Well, it's a difficult question, I think, to recommend certain conferences because I don't visit all of them. So, I started going to local things through Meetup and Eventbrite, just things organized in the neighborhood. I'm in Belgium, so Brussels, Antwerp. You have to start somewhere, and it's a difficult question, I think. The things I used to go to in the past no longer exist. The Corona time, alas, had quite an impact on those elder events, but today it's still alive and kicking the ecosystem, and again also specializing some crypto, some NFT, some art. So search what is in line with your specialization, with your line of interest, and go there. It can only help to broaden your expertise. And what I would also recommend is to see if you can add value yourself. Networking is not about what can I get out of it, but it's about what can I put into it. And the more input you give to the network, if you can be on stage, do a talk, that's when the rewards really come very fast. But it's about input, not about output initially. So, I would just recommend to go wherever you like to go, as long as it's in line with your interest, and to seek how you can contribute yourself rather than just take.
Okay, now what about the current trends in blockchain technology that you're most excited about? Is there anything that you see that will shape and change the future of industries such as finance, gaming?
Well, the current trends I'm excited about are quite, in a broad perspective, I would say. I think one of the biggest shifts is actually where solutions don't look into private permission systems, which are shielded from the outside world and, with clearly defined access rights. And this evolution, now there is an evolution to use more public permission systems. It's still permissioned with access rights, but more and more data is shared, or in a hybrid way with private permission and a public chain. But the whole idea that everything has to be within a vault that can only be visited by the selected happy few and nobody else can see, I think it's slowly fading away. If I can explain it in technical terms, we used to look way more into Hyperledger Fabric as a blockchain solution, private permission. Now you see a shift to Hyperledger Bezo, which is more open. It's EVM compatible. So you're looking more into the open permission systems, which is, I think, a good evolution, as in the end it allows more people to share, reuse data, and to build their own business on top of it. The next thing is the homomorphic encryption. Something technical again, but it allows to work on encrypted data. Just generalizing a bit, if you want to work with data on a blockchain, it's tricky because you have to expose the data to work on it. If you can encrypt the data, you have to decrypt it. But if you can work on encrypted data, that is really, really future-proof. Line with GDPR, or easier to defend looking at GDPR, let's put it this way. And I think that's really a very strong thing to evolve. Or that's something I'm following from close by at least. Also the API-driven blockchains, where you interact in a completely different way with the underlying technology, abstracting that there is actually a blockchain underneath while still taking the benefits. I think that's also a very positive evolution, and overall the speed of execution on a blockchain that is increasing. I think it's required also for the financial industry to have a more efficient pace in digesting transactions. So the faster it goes, the better. regular databases, well, you can go extremely fast. The blockchain still has to synchronize somewhere. So if that problem can be solved, applications will go fast. More things can be done on chain rather than off chain, especially if it's with homomorphic encryption. And then we're off to the next wave, probably.
All right. That's very interesting. Last question, because we're running out of time.
Okay.
But I thought it will be interesting to ask you about this, also for the future blockchain professionals who maybe have some ideas or they imagine how their career will look like. What are the common misconceptions about working in the blockchain field?
Well, common misconceptions about working in blockchain is, I think, still foremost and completely ridiculous that we're using a lot of electricity. It's people still relate it to Bitcoin, but that's completely pointless.
Why is it pointless? Sorry, side question.
No, because apart from Bitcoin, other technologies are way more efficient on energy. And I'm pretty convinced that using blockchain is actually saving energy compared to traditional solutions if the scale is large enough. If you exchange data, if you have a common process built on a blockchain, you are avoiding everything related to reconciliation of data, which means people don't have to call, send emails. Did I receive this data correct? There is a field missing. I mean, you standardize and you put governance on top, so it will go smooth. So no phone calls, no audit notice, no compliance. It's all embedded in the solution. And I think that saves a lot of energy, electricity, if the scale of the solution is, of course, large. If it's between two companies, it's not going to help. If it's between 10 companies, it is going to help. I'm, of course, looking at the enterprise solutions. Another misconception, I think, is that it's a hype. Well, it was a hype. The hype today is all AI. But I think CoinDesk did research 2 weeks ago where they say that 68%, no, 86% of the Fortune 500 companies are working on blockchain-based solutions. So I think that's quite impressive. You just see that there is a split between those who have enough people, enough size to collaborate and to look for a better way of working together using blockchain technology, and those who have not. So, well, is a hype over then? Hopefully, at least we can start building useful business, which is what is happening. Another misconception is the whole tech approach. And well, you also started asking with questions about how is it like a non-techie in the tech world. But it's not just technology. I mean, a lot of people are technically perfectly capable to build a blockchain-based solution. The real challenge lies in explaining to those who use it that it's a better way of working, that collaboration is yielding more benefits than doing things on your own. So it's not just tech. There is also a lot of business, and perhaps the latest misconception today, and I was happy enough to participate in HCC 7 earlier this week. It doesn't seem to be anymore about let's destroy the government, let's destroy the banks. The whole idea of something has to be destroyed before blockchain technology can add value seems to be gone. It's more like let's build something, let's build a solution, let's add value for society, let's fix loopholes like the immense power of social media or social platforms. So I think it's a very, very good move away from first we have to destroy to build this new utopian world into let's see how we can evolve, perhaps revolutionize a bit the things we do today using blockchain technology and make the world a little bit better rather than completely different.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your insights and talking about your experience. I think it will be very interesting for the current and future professionals who want to get, or maybe they are already in the blockchain field. Super interesting. Thanks so much.
Thank you.